Egypt is known as the land of the pharaohs and is famous for its numerous pyramids. Egyptians are famous for discovering gold treasures and mastering the arts of mummification. How well do you know Egypt? Although you may be aware of their skills in enslavement and constructing incredible pyramids, the famous queen, Cleopatra, was not Egyptian, despite playing a dominant role in the region's history. Archaeologists are constantly busy scouring the sands for new treasures in Egypt's vast desert, which is also full of historical events. It's accepted that the deeper we dig, the more mysterious things we discover. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, tap on the subscribe button and turn on the notification. Quick disclaimer, I don't speak Egyptian, so I'm warning you ahead of time. I'm probably going to mispronounce almost everything. Sorry about that. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Number 1. The Lost Ancient Egyptian Tombs of Saqqara. An Egyptian archaeological delegation discovered 7 ancient Egyptian tombs holding scarab and cat mummies dating back from the 5th and 6th dynasties at the ancient necropolis of Saqqara in November of 2018. 3 of the graves were used for cats, some of which were over 6,000 years old, and one of the other 4 sarcophagi had been opened. The Egyptian government discovered a previously unknown 4,400-year-old tomb near Saqqara in mid-December 2018, containing paintings and more than 50 sculptures. It belonged to Watai, a high-ranking priest who served during the 5th dynasty under King Nefer-Irkare Kekai. There are also 4 tunnels in the tomb that led to a coffin below. An expedition led by Mohammed Megahed, a member of the Czech Institute of Egyptology, uncovered a 4,000-year-old tomb near Egypt's Saqqara necropolis on April 13, 2019. According to archaeologists, the tomb belonged to a prominent person named Kui, who lived in Egypt during the 5th dynasty. Number 2. The Stone of Apries. Finding a tombstone from biblical times appears to be a rare opportunity. However, an Egyptian farmer who was routinely tilling his land was fortunate enough to discover a stela. He immediately approached antiquity authorities, who informed him that the stela was installed approximately 2,600 years ago during the time of Pharaoh Apries. The king was so valuable that he was mentioned in the Bible and strangled by his subjects. His stone stela was discovered about 60 miles from Cairo. It stands 91 inches tall and 41 inches wide. Archaeologists attempt to decipher hieroglyphs, particularly the 15 lines inscribed. One thing most prominent is the sun disk carved on the tablet, which represents the sun god. Experts believe that the stela is inscribed with details of military campaigns overseen by Apries and was erected as a symbol of dedication. Number 3. The Tomb of the Silver Pharaoh. The tomb of Pharaoh Susenus I of the 21st dynasty, who reigned from 1036 to 989 BCE, is undoubtedly one of Egypt's most underappreciated discoveries. The ancient Egyptian kings and pharaohs surrounded themselves with treasures, most of which were gold. This was not due to greed, but to the belief that the presence of gold would guarantee Pharaoh the gift of eternal life. For the ancient Egyptians, gold was valued for its intrinsic value and was associated with numerous virtues, mythical, religious, and symbolic. It was resistant to rust and decay, and beautiful golden objects unearthed worldwide over the centuries have remained virtually untouched by time. Silver was associated with the moon in ancient Egypt. However, silver was far less common, which is why discovering a silver coffin in Susenus' first royal's burial chamber was so surprising, even if the timing couldn't have been worse. French Egyptologist Pierre Montet discovered the tomb of Susenus I and his wife Mutnedmet while excavating New Kingdom relics at Tanis in the Nile Delta. Tanis was the site of numerous archaeological digs beginning in the 19th century with renowned Egyptologists Flinders Petrie and Auguste Mariette. And with the impending outbreak of World War II, Montet found himself in a race against the clock. As a result, what should have been a well-planned and carefully considered archaeological excavation became a hasty salvage operation. And yes, Montet is the archaeologist who inspired the character of Dr. Renee Bullock in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Number 4. Temple of Bastet. One of the most significant temples dedicated to the goddess Bastet, who was connected to fertility and frequently served as a protective deity, was the Temple of Bastet in the Old Kingdom. Bastet was first pictured as a lioness and later as a cat. Despite the grandeur of other temples, none, in the opinion of the Greek historian Herodotus, was more beautiful than the Temple of Bastet, which he visited in the 5th century BC. A breathtaking view of the city would have been offered by his temple, which would have been bordered by 2 channels and lined with trees. When Bastet became Egypt's capital during the 22nd dynasty, the Temple of Bastet was expanded, and much of the material from earlier structures was reused. The 2 red granite blocks from the King Khufu and King Khafre's 4th dynasty reigns are the oldest of these. Osorkon I, the second king of the 22nd dynasty, continued to build on this temple and is frequently mentioned at the entrance. The peristyle courtyard was surrounded by a large gate. This was constructed by Osorkon II, who also adorned it with images of him enjoying the Heb-Sed festival. A long arcade in the far west leads to a hypostyle hall with papyrus and Hathor columns, which was also constructed by Osorkon II. King Nectanebo II, the last Egyptian king of the 30th and final dynasty, renovated the far western end of the temple, which housed the complex's Holy of Holies, the sanctuary. Number 5. The Rosetta Stone. The ancient stone slab that would change the world was found on July 19, 1799, by Pierre-François Bouchard's men while they were finishing up a last-minute construction project. With only a few days to prepare for a battle with soldiers from the Ottoman Empire, the French soldiers were stationed in a dilapidated fort in Rosetta, Egypt. While demolishing a wall constructed from the debris of nearby ancient Egyptian sites, the men came across a sizable stone fragment covered in 3 different writing styles, including ancient Greek. Bouchard was intrigued and questioned whether the stone could communicate in 3 languages at once. He shared his discovery with French academics who had traveled to Egypt to look for ancient artifacts. They got more than what they expected. The slab was known as the Rosetta Stone, and the letters and symbols carefully chiseled into the dark face would shed light on ancient Egyptian civilization's glory. But first, scholars must decipher its code. Number 6. The Aswan Obelisk. The unfinished obelisk in Aswan, Egypt, which is positioned in the same position as the giant sleeping on a bed of granite, offers amazing insight into how these monolithic monuments were built. If completed, it would have stood 137 feet tall and weighed approximately 1,200 tons. The female pharaoh, Hatshepsut, is thought to have commissioned the work during the 18th dynasty more than 3,500 years ago. What exactly are obelisks? The ancient Egyptians called these 4-sided tapered monuments tekenu, but we now call them obelisks, from the Greek word obeliskus. They are the hallmark of ancient Egyptian ingenuity and engineered and are typically found at temple entrances. Because obelisks were so beloved by successive civilizations, more than half of the remaining ancient obelisks now reside outside of Egypt, having been particularly prized by the Romans. In fact, 13 of them are in Italy. So what happened to the Aswan obelisk, which left a trail in the bedrock? Perhaps they were overconfident in their abilities, as it would have been a third larger than any previously erected obelisk had the work been completed. Instead, as it was being freed from the bedrock, a massive crack appeared, causing it to lie abandoned. It now serves as an open-air museum, providing valuable insight into ancient Egyptian construction techniques. Number 7. The Lost Golden City. A contentious, ancient Egyptian king abandoned his name, religion, and capital in Thebes 3,400 years ago, modern Luxor. Archaeologists can tell you what happened next. Pharaoh Akhenaten established the short-lived city of Akhetaten, where he reigned alongside his wife Nefertiti and worshipped the sun. Following his father's death, his young son Tutankhamun ascended to the throne of Egypt, abandoning his father's contentious legacy. The discovery of a 3,000-year-old Egyptian city lost to the sands has been hailed as one of the most significant archaeological finds since Tutankhamun's tomb. The discovery of the lost golden city near Luxor was announced by Egyptologist Zahi Hawass. He claimed that the discovery, known as Aten, was the largest ancient city ever discovered in Egypt. It was discovered just a few weeks after the excavation began in September 2020. Amenhotep III, one of Egypt's most powerful pharaohs, who reigned from 1391 to 1353 BC, founded the city. Pharaohs I and Tutankhamun used the city until 1922, when British archaeologist Howard Carter discovered a nearly intact tomb in the Valley of the Kings. So that brings our video to an end. Remember to subscribe to our channel and enable the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest updates. Make sure to also click the bell icon. We'll catch you in the following video. Until then, bye-bye.